What happens when two successful entrepreneurs get together for a drink? They talk shop, of course. So grab your favorite cocktail and sit alongside Scott DeLong and Vince Moiso, two seasoned business leaders that have driven their own companies to success, as they share from their experience and dive deep into the secret sauce that can turn a company around. The CEO Podcast starts now.
Hey everybody, Vince Moiso and Scott DeLong with the CEO Podcast. And our episode today is going to cover the topic of emotional intelligence, EQ, better known as EQ. This is something
favorite.
I know. I'm excited about this because I want to preface the intro here where Scott, you have a course that you teach on EQ. I've taken that course. It's a great course, and I think everybody should be growing and thinking about their emotional intelligence, and any opportunity that you can to continue down that path of just getting better at emotional intelligence is huge. And I think it's a thing that a lot of people in this world may not pay attention to.
Or think they're good at. Yeah, no doubt. Which, let's talk about that.
Or frankly, aren't good at.
with your group, in fact, you didn't get your entire group to participate in the course.
Right. That's right.
So my goal for that was, by the end of the 5 weeks that we worked with you, is to make the other people jealous that they didn't get to.
Well, you know what? You bring up a good point, and it's a good reminder that our entire group didn't participate. And I don't think it was because they didn't think they were good at it, and I don't think they were intimidated by it. I think they thought, no, I don't need it.
They knew it.
I just don't.
A lot of us think we know it.
That's just something I don't need.
Yeah.
And I couldn't disagree more. In fact, yeah. So, I would say today, not before, but I've done a lot of work on it. I mean, today my emotional intelligence is pretty high, and that is the result of a lot of work. That being said, even when I was offered to take your course, I jumped at it. I literally said, yeah, of course I want to take it. I knew there was going to be something new that I was going to take away from that, regardless of whatever level I thought I was at that given point in time.
Sure.
And I think everybody needs to do a self-check on that. And when you have the opportunity to improve upon emotional intelligence, you got to do it. It's absolutely critical. And by the way, Scott, and I really want you to take over this conversation. That being said, so let me set the tone here. Where we've talked about a lot of different things. We talked about communication.
Yep.
We've talked about body language. Okay, we've talked about development. Right. We've talked about all these different. We talked about transparency. We've talked about accountability. We've talked about personality types. We've talked about all these concepts that I think are very, very symbiotic when you talk about emotional intelligence. I think you can encompass all those things around emotional intelligence.
It's layers. It's layers of the same thing. And when I say the same thing, what I'm talking about is just being a good human. Right? So that's one of my goals, is to be a better human.
So what does that mean?
Yeah.
Tell me more. What does that mean to be a good human?
Yeah,
Scott?
I think being a good human starts with a deep reflection on self, and to see where my flaws are going to be. There was a course I took at Berkeley, mm-hmm. and it talked about, it was interesting the way this professor did this, and he talked about improvement. So I played baseball, and there's they talk about the 5 skill kind of players: hits with power, runs, throws, and fields. Yeah. Those are the 5 things, and they give you a 1 through 5 rating on the scouts. Give you a 1 through 5 rating on all those things. Yeah, and what most people do. Think about this when you go to the gym. What most people do is we work on the things we're already good at. So if I'm good at bench pressing, I bench press a little bit more. Yeah. And I'm going to improve myself a little bit more on that thing. Yeah. But what this professor said in this class, and it was really cool, and he proved it with math. It was really cool. That by working on your deficiencies, if you just went up, if I was a 4 across the board, right? Mm-hmm. or a 4 across the board, except my fielding was a 3. If I just made my fielding a 3, I would score higher than if I made my hitting a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you mean? It's just 1 point within one of the categories. It should be higher. So no, he did it differently. He did it in math. He says multiply these numbers together. If you multiply this by this, by this, by this, by this, these 5 categories, you will see that improving your deficiencies is much more powerful than improving your strengths.
Sure.
And yet what most of us do is we do the things that we're comfortable with and improving our strengths. So, and I think that's why people back away from this whole emotional intelligence concept.
Yeah, I think it's a great place to start because it is an uncomfortable zone to be in, right?
Yeah.
I think when we talk about emotional intelligence, we're talking first and foremost about self-awareness, aren't we?
That's the biggest thing.
And
that I
so,
think.
so you know, so if we're all of a sudden challenged to look in a mirror, nobody likes to look in the mirror, right? Right? Because you never know.
I used to like to look in the mirror a little better than I do now, but
It changes day to day, right?
Yeah,
I
it
mean, I
does.
don't, what I see tomorrow isn't exactly what I see today, and
quite.
I think none of us love looking in the mirror. Especially, okay, great. So that's anecdotal, right? And looking in the mirror. When I talk about self-awareness, it does get very, very uncomfortable, and so this place of discomfort. So when you talk about improving upon emotional intelligence. Okay, that takes me to a place that I might not want to go, Scott.
well, it is so much easier to find out what's wrong with others than it is to take a look at yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's fine. Everyone's got flaws. They do, we do, whatever. But this portion about emotional intelligence starts with a self-awareness, self-reflection, self-awareness, and fix the things that you can fix.
Yeah.
So the course, in the course, is we went through a few things, and one of them was 3 or 4 times a day. We changed it up. 3 or 4 times a day, we sent you a text.
Yeah.
And said, what are you thinking right now? What are you feeling?
What are you feeling
right now?
Yeah.
Write it down.
Yeah.
Now look around. What's the circumstances?
Yeah.
Right? Where are you? What's happening? All that kind of, and it's invasive to get a text in the middle of a meeting, all that, I get it. But it is really an impactful tool to say, right now, I feel like crap because that gal over there is yelling at me for something that someone else did. Right? So here's what I'm feeling. Here's why I'm feeling that. The real key on emotional intelligence is, now what can I do about that? Right? That's not the easiest thing. That's the hardest thing to do. But the self-awareness is to say what I'm doing right now, how am I feeling, and what's happening that's making me feel that way, and why are the triggers there? What are those triggers?
Well, if you've been listening to many of our podcasts, we've trickled in some of these nuggets around emotional intelligence. And if you're really, really paying attention, I'll point out, a few of them. One is really communication. So what comes to mind is really, we talked around a lot about email etiquette because email is such an important component of any business today, right? Yeah. We're all pretty much email cultures. And one of the things is email should primarily be used for informational purposes only. Like, I'm just going to give you a piece of information, I'm going to send that off. You should not be having banter back and forth. You should not be arguing back and forth via email. There's no tone in an email.
Information
there's no body language.
and memorialization.
And memorialization. Yeah, no, you're right. That being said, is I often think about the emotional intelligence I have around those emails that I really want to write to somebody, and I often write them, and I stop, and I read through them, and I tell myself, why am I sending this? I'm in an emotional state right now. I'm angry. I don't feel good. I've got this feeling in the pit of my stomach, and this is just. Everything about this email is reactionary. I'm going to sleep on that.
So I'm okay with actually writing the email out.
Yeah,
or
of course.
typing it out, getting it on paper, getting it to print. So somebody gave me an idea that I thought was brilliant, is that somebody sent me a bad email and I wanted to respond right now. Go ahead and respond. Type it all out. But before I do that, take anybody that's on the to list or the CC list off. Just delete it. Yeah. Right? Sleep on it. Think if I want to really send that. Do I want to edit it? Do I not want to send it at all? Would be the we just had a situation in our families very similar. My wife was having a situation with one of her family members, and I said, what I think you might want to do is write it out.
Yeah.
Don't send it, write it out. So she wrote it out, sent it to me instead for reflection, editing. So I questioned a few things. Did you want to say this? Why would you want to say this? All those kind of things. She edited it, and then what happened was really cool. Today she told me she had a conversation with that person about that.
Amazing.
Like she got it out in the letter, all the anger, all that stuff out. But then she was able to have a dialogue.
Yeah.
Because it was that release. So that was a heightened emotional intelligence period right there. So yes, awareness of self.
Yeah.
Certainly. Now, I might need some help with that from time to time.
Uh-huh.
You took a course with me, some of your folks did. I need some help with that from others.
Yeah.
How am I showing? How am I showing up and all of that? And I want to get feedback. I hate feedback. Just so you know, I hate it. my internal guts just don't like. No, I want to be right. Right? No. I need it. So give me the feedback and find someone that you can trust. So here's one of the keys of that. I think everybody needs to vent. I've seen studies that say don't vent because all it does is get this thing going on. But I think it's really important. But here's my clue
It's
on
okay
that.
to vent.
You need to vent to somebody that's not going to hold a grudge against the person you're venting about.
Yeah.
So I tell people this all the time. Do not vent to your parents about your spouse. They can't forgive you. God gave you an opportunity to figure out how to get over a fight, right? They gave us this physical ability to get over that, but they didn't give our parents that to our. So find someone that you can vent to that's not going to hold a grudge.
Yeah.
Whether it's at work, at home, I don't care where it's at.
Yeah.
But that's my number one advice to anybody is don't find someone to vent to. Cool. But make sure that's the person that's not going to hold a grudge.
Yeah, no, I have a great business partner, and I have to tell you, we have our one-on-one sessions every week, and it's a great opportunity where I'll spend often 5 or 10 minutes where I vent, and I proceed the conversation with, will you allow me 5 minutes to vent? Will you allow me 10 minutes to vent? And it's such a great release, and he's a great listener, and he just listens, right? And he doesn't really give, he's not like pushing on anything or anything. And then he'll let me finish because he understands that it's a vent session.
Yep.
And then he asks, what's so great about it is he'll say, do you want feedback?
Yeah.
And oftentimes
Perfect.
I don't even need it, right? Like,
Nope.
I don't need any feedback.
Nope.
There's no action item. Or he'll say,
I know where I sound stupid.
no,
right
he'll
here.
even say, is there an action item? Like, is there something that you need me to step into? And I'll say, nope. There's no action item. I don't need you to do anything. Thank you for listening. I just needed to vent. I even do that with, I have managers that I'll have one-on-ones with that we'll talk about a certain situation and I'll say, hey, can I just vent, about this particular situation? So it's not about a person or about anything like that. It's just like, can I just vent about this? And it's great because it'll bring them into the emotion of it. And at the end, it just becomes a vent session and nothing more, right? So no feelings hurt, no grudges, nothing like that. But it is, I love what you just said there, is I do think it is important that many things that are there that are holding you back, you have to get off your chest. You have to speak it aloud. Yeah. I'm a big believer in that. I think you do really have to speak it aloud. And we're just fresh off of this topic of vulnerability, right? So we recently released that podcast, and if you haven't heard it, you've got to listen to this podcast on vulnerability. And not only did we get vulnerable, but we talked about this topic and how important it is. And I do believe vulnerability plays into emotional intelligence at a high level. And sometimes you have to be willing, in order to vent, you have to be willing to get vulnerable enough to speak those things out loud instead of holding them in.
God, I just love that. You go back to, I think I said this before, but the word willing, right? Willingness. Two things I look for in people: willingness and curiosity.
Yeah.
If I find someone that's willing and curious, they're my people. That's what I like.
Yeah.
All right, so we got through part of it, right? So the self-awareness portion, and honestly, that's 3/4 of it. 3/4 of this whole emotional intelligence. But the other part's important as well, and that's the awareness of others. And what are they presenting? What are they showing? How are they coming across? Am I hurting your feelings is really an important thing for me to recognize. And that's where we get into some of the body language and some of the things that we talked about in an earlier podcast, right?
Yeah.
Is the awareness of others. A narcissist or a sociopath does not have that. They can't possess that. So no matter what you do, no matter how good you get, this stuff does not work with narcissists or sociopaths. Just sorry, can't help you there, right? My suggestion, get away. But the awareness of others becomes another big component. Probably the last 25% of emotional intelligence in my mind is making sure that the message that I'm delivering is being received in the way that I want it received.
Oh, yeah.
Not just, I said it, therefore it is, right?
Yeah.
How are people receiving that?
Yeah.
And you can tell in a variety of ways, right?
That goes into personality type a little bit, I think.
Uh-huh.
I think when you talk about, okay, great. If you've got, like you and I are very closely related in our personality types, right? So the way that I'm just very direct with my communication. So I know I can be very direct with you, and I know how that's going to land. And so I have that awareness of you, but others, not necessarily, right? So they might not have that dominant personality.
Yeah.
They might be in that support role, and the way that they receive information is quite different. And I can't be as dominant. I may not be able to be as direct. And I think that recognition, that awareness of, as you said, of others, which is also understanding the personality type difference.
Especially if there's power differentiations.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're the boss.
You're talking about
subordinate.
organizational structure. Yeah.
Well, not just that. Parent and child.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And in some places, husband and wife.
Yeah.
If there's power differences, then you really need to be, again, back to my definition of is trying to be a better person, trying to be a better human, right? Is if you care about that, recognize those power differences between who you are, what you're saying, how it's being received. There's a lot of people in a subordinate position will just say, okay, right? Just, yeah, because they don't want to get into that conflict.
For sure. So many people are non-confrontational, right?
Yeah. And a conflict doesn't have to be confrontational.
Yeah.
We're going to have a whole nother podcast on conflict. I got that one scheduled and it's coming up.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that a lot. But a conflict is simply a difference of opinion. Mm-hmm. So how do you, if you're emotionally intelligent and you're the CEO and you need to talk to a subordinate, whether it's one level down or two levels down, is your message going to land the way you want it to land?
Yeah.
Not just get it out.
Got to think through that.
But is it going to land the way you want to land? And a lot of that has to do with self-awareness of where you are. And some of it has to do with who you're talking to.
Yeah. So what comes to mind for me when you talk about awareness of others is I think about EO and our experience with Entrepreneurs Organization. And when we start a forum meeting, we have what we call a one-word open, right? And what is that one-word open really for? All of us to get that awareness of others and the state of mind or the state of being that they're in. So I might say something like, I'm ready, or I might say, I'm rushed, or I might say, I'm not present, or something like that. Or I might say, I'm very present, right? So all of those things describe that state of being in that moment. And what's great is each of us get to see this awareness of how that person is at the moment, so that when we move into the meeting, I've adopted that into many of my meetings. So oftentimes it may be more than just a one-word open. I might say, hey guys, I want to go around the room really quickly. Can you give me one word that describes what your state of being is right now, or maybe what your mindset is? And can you also, just mention something that you'd really like to accomplish from this meeting? Well, why do I do that? I do that because it gives me an immediate awareness of where each person is
of
at.
their emotions.
Yeah.
Of their emotions.
And it can set the tone for a meeting, and then I know what direction I need to take that meeting. Then I get a great understanding of the energy of the room, and hopefully where I need to communicate better.
So back in the old days, we didn't think about this kind of stuff. We just said, the boss says this, you do that. This is the way it works, right?
Yeah.
World's not working like that anymore. And in fact, that probably wasn't a great model.
Yeah.
Right? The way Rockefeller did it. Carnegie was pretty good, but some of the others in that industrial age were just top down, drive. We just got through with one on employee engagement, and this feeds into all of that as well. Yeah. And are my employees going to be more engaged if they believe that I care about what they have to say?
Yeah.
This is all about care. Right? Emotional intelligence is all about care. So I've got a theory. I don't know if it's a proven theory by anybody. I haven't seen any studies on it, but I think my theory is this: if you want to learn how to love, learn how to care. There is nobody that I have seen that has cared for something that doesn't end up loving that thing, whether it's an animal, whether it's a person, whether you're a healthcare provider, right? Mm-hmm. The longer, I think the hardest thing in the world would be the geriatric healthcare. I think it would be very difficult to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't have the personality for it. Yet I watch some of these people are some of the most loving people that I've seen, and they care for that human being.
Yeah.
And there is a love that gets transferred between those people.
No question.
What does that have to do with business? Yeah, everything. It does. I'm sorry, it does. I want my employees to know I care for them. Why? Because if they get that feeling, this experience, the employee experience thing, if they know I care, what do you think they're going to think? Are they looking for another job? Is their resume on the street? If they know I care, and the depth in which I care, and it's not fake, it's real stuff. Care for people, they will care for you.
Well, my daughter just got her RN, and she's already has a job, but she's applying for Children's Hospital, and I think she just she has a bleeding heart, and I've talked to her at length around emotional intelligence and that whole conversation around care, and I couldn't agree with you more. I could not. I would struggle to do what she does, and she does what she does very well, and she loves children, and children are just immediately attracted to her energy. That being said, you know what? It's not the children. The children know right away that she cares or she doesn't care. You know who it really is? It's the parents. It's the parents, and the parents are an emotional wreck. And she said the what she has to do most is really help them manage their emotions around what's going on. Yeah. And that's an incredible responsibility. And I want to address something else too. This concept of care, sorry, but you can't fake it. You just can't. I don't care how good you think you can fake emotions or care for somebody. They either feel your energy or they don't. And when they feel your energy, they understand immediately if you truly care. And when they understand and they feel that energy that you truly care, you have truly achieved a high level of emotional intelligence. And when we take it to business, as you just described, when your employees understand that you do truly care for them, then when we talk about engagement or performance or anything else, it's all there. But this is an important part of this emotional intelligence topic that we're talking about. And I really want to just say that out loud one more time. Can't fake it. So go ahead and try. You can all day. People will spot a fake all day long because the energy isn't there. The connection isn't there.
And I think that's not immediate. I think there are people that are, and again, these become the narcissists and sociopaths that can fake it.
Well, hold on. They're good. Well, hold on. Let me stop you there. So, there are people, because I'm gonna change the word.
Okay.
There are people that are good at pretending, and eventually they're found out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I use the word fake because it's very strong, and I'm going to tell you can't fake it. So stop faking. But there are people that try to pretend, and eventually you're going to be found out.
Well, so Ted Bundy faked it for a little while. He got people engaged in the short-term thing, but
I think
lasting.
I think that example is a word called manipulation. And so I don't know that
we're going to have that. That's one of our other podcasts is that being able to persuade versus being able to manipulate. And the difference between those two.
Yeah.
We're going to definitely talk about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So emotional intelligence. So we are not as good as we think we are. It takes, like everything else, it takes practice. It takes making mistakes, learning from those mistakes, and redoing it and practicing some more. Keep practicing. I've spent a long time practicing my emotional intelligence, and I mess up, and I got to practice again.
Well, it's a lifelong journey, right? So here I'd offer two things, and we focused our conversation mostly on this. One is self-awareness. So I think the number one thing to achieve a high level of emotional intelligence is going to be self-awareness. So you're, understanding your own triggers, your own emotions, those type of things. Self-awareness is top of the list. Second is awareness of others, right? So that which encompasses a lot of different things. I talked about personality types of communication, those type of things that you need to be aware. But awareness of others can include body language, whatever. It's the energy that you read in a room. And when you understand that, then you can shift how your communication is or how your reaction might be. And again, achieving a high level of emotional intelligence. And I want to repeat, this is a lifelong journey. So if you think you've got high emotional intelligence, that's great. I hope you do. And keep practicing, as you said.
Yeah, keep practicing. So there's one piece that we missed, and we're talking about the awareness of others. And it is on this word that it's one of my top 3 words. Got vulnerability, empathy. That's the one I want to talk about, and humility. Those are the 3 things that if I think I master, I'm going to do better in life. So empathy is a part of this emotional intelligence. One of the pieces that we didn't talk about when you're talking about awareness of others is the concept about empathy.
Yeah.
And empathy is different than sympathy.
Yeah.
Feeling sorry for you.
Oh, yeah.
Or understanding how you feel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think empathy is the greater of the two.
How do you define it?
So you don't want me feeling sorry for you, right? Do you?
No.
Wouldn't that suck?
Yeah.
If I felt sorry for you, you're less than, it's all that. So empathy is the ability to feel what that person is feeling or close to what that person is feeling. Like if let's go with a bankruptcy. I haven't had one. If you happen to have one, I can guess what that feels like, and I could try to feel that, and that would be trying to be empathetic. I wouldn't necessarily completely know because I hadn't gone through that, but I'm showing empathy to try to understand where you're coming from. What is that feeling in the pit of your stomach? And how is that making you react to things?
Yeah, we had breakfast with a friend this morning, and her father died at the age of 62. My father died at the age of 62. So it was, somehow we came on that subject, and she started to talk about that. And I had this immediate reaction of empathy, right? I knew exactly what she went through. Yeah. I knew what she was feeling. I could feel the energy and the emotion all around that. Yeah.
So empathy is a big piece of that. And here's why. I think empathy is a fast track to connection. If you know that I know, or you know that I care, my connection with you is going to be better than it would be otherwise.
Completely. That's
if I'm just giving you some bullshit response saying, "Oh, sorry, I'm sorry for your loss." Like we get that a lot. People are trying when they say, "I'm sorry for your loss." Yeah. But your father and her father died about the same time, about the same age that you were dealing with. You get what that means to you. She knows that.
Empathy.
Your connection is there.
Yeah, empathy. I love what you said. Empathy leads to an immediate connection.
Yeah. Empathy leads to immediate connection.
Yeah.
So it's a big part of this whole emotional intelligence. Do you have to absolutely know to be empathetic? No.
Yeah.
No. But I can see in your face, and I care enough that it's hurting you, and I don't have to hurt with you.
Yeah.
I have to understand that you're hurt.
Yeah, I immediately thought of Entrepreneurs Organization again, and we talk a lot about experience share, and the whole concept behind experience share is exactly that empathy is I'm going to share a similar experience of what you just stated you're feeling, such that I'm going to tell you that not only do I feel what you feel, I understand what you went through.
And it could be, so with EO, this is what I tell people all the time, that it could be a completely different story. I never did that thing that made you struggle.
Doesn't matter.
But I knew that feeling.
Yes, that's what resonated. Yeah.
And here's my story along that feeling, which creates it. It's so cool when you get a group of 8 people that are sitting around talking about this stuff, because it's kind of like the telephone game. You remember as a kid where you said something and someone said, I don't know why it crossed. Well, this has to do with feelings, right? So you tell a story and it hit me this way and it hit this person that way and it hit her that way. And it turns into this just amazing experience where people are sharing empathy.
Yeah. This is emotional intelligence, everybody. This is what we're talking about at an incredibly high level. We could keep talking about this.
Yeah.
I just want to encourage everybody, check out the ceopodcast.net. Give us your feedback. Go on LinkedIn, go on social media. You can find us there and give us your feedback. We want your comments. And we want to hear, about your own stories. And I think when we talk about emotional intelligence, there's so many directions you can go with it. I hope this gives you an inclination of some of the things that you need to work on, because I think ultimately what we want to achieve with this podcast is just to get people thinking, to get people committed to these subjects that we're passionate about, that we know a lot about, and that we can help others to achieve, to improve their lives or improve their respective businesses or relationships or whatever it might be. Because I think, so many of the topics like emotional intelligence that we talk about, while it's so relatable to business, it's so relatable to life in so many ways. And I think the more you grow within your emotional intelligence, the more you grow as a person, and that reflects all aspects of your life without question.
Yeah, I think this. I mean, when people hire me to work on their business, great, that's fine. That's how I get paid. But my promise is this to the people that I'm working with is that, sure, that'll improve, and your personal life's going to improve as well. These things we're talking about, communication, emotional intelligence, leadership skills, all the things that we're talking about are transferable from your business to your personal life, from your personal life back to your business, and improving your whole being.
Yeah. All right, what are we drinking? You're the one that got it.
Yeah, this is hop juice from Left Coast Brewery in San Clemente. Left Coast is kind of a cool little spot, unassuming. It's not like Stone Brewery. We have this really cool garden kind of thing. It's a place you can go and have some cool beers with people that will talk to you about what they're brewing, why they're brewing it, what's important to them.
Yeah. Great energy at that place too. I love the energy, and I love the beer. I mean, this is a great beer, but I'm feeling the 10%.
This one's called Hop Juice. It's a triple IPA, and it's a 10%er. So, I live close, so if you happen to go down to Left Coast and you're struggling, give me a call. I'll come pick you up. You'll be okay.
Be careful if you offer that. I'm feeling like you're going to get a bunch of calls. Check out Left Coast. So we love the beer. This is probably the second or third podcast where we've had some Left Coast beer on it, and we enjoy it and continue to enjoy it. This one especially went down very easy.
Yeah, pretty easy beer.
Check us out, ceopodcast.net. Till next time, cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for joining us for the CEO Podcast. To learn more about Scott and Vince, please visit theceopodcast.net and check out the calendar to tune in for our next episode. While on the site, you can also listen to past episodes, access additional content created for our listeners, and if you would like to dive deeper into any topic, there is an option to schedule some time with Scott or Vince. Thanks for listening.